Today, Voice of the Nation would like to welcome Irene Natividad, President of the Global Summit of Women. สวัสดีค่ะ First of all, welcome to Thailand.
Thank you.
Irene, I've heard that this summit you have been organized for the past 30 years, or even over 30 years. Could you please talk about the background of this summit and why is this summit so important?
Well, over 30 years ago, there really wasn't any international forum where women can come together on economic and business issues. They weren't invited to the WTO. They weren't part of the World Economic Forum because it's too expensive. They just didn't have such a platform to come together to talk about very critical issue like how do you make money? I always say I want women to make a lot of money. Because when women have money, they have power. Even if you're a waitress or an executive, when they bring income home to their families, the balance of power changes. They're looked at differently, whether you're an executive or, as I said, a waitress. And so I wanted one to be global because women talk about global, but their experience of it is very limited. Two, I don't want any whining. Here are the problems. We know the problems women face. I said solutions only, okay? And three, I don't want an artificial division between business, government, and civil society. I said I want the three together so that solutions can leverage the resources of all three. No government, not whether it's Thailand or my country, the US, has all the resources, to address what needs to be fixed when it comes to creating equal opportunities for women. No corporation could do it on their own. If they do, it's piecemeal. It's just their people, their customers. And civil society, they never have enough, but they're the ones on the ground. But you put all three together, we can come up with some kind of a solution that's lasting.
Could you please talk about the past achievement for the last 30 years of this summit?
Well, I don't know if it's the summit, but in terms of women themselves, we have more women educated now than at any other time. And whether it is Asia or Europe or the US, the majority of college graduates are women. So you've got a huge talent pool that didn't exist before. Women went to work. That wasn't until 1950 when women started, having a way to make a living. Prior to that, they were primarily seen as homemakers. So now they're bringing income to the families. And when you bring income, all of a sudden you have tremendous buying power. So that in developed economies, 80% of buying decisions are made by women. In the US, the majority of car buyers are women. And that has a multiplier effect because they buy tires, they buy insurance, they buy services, right? So, when I said that to somebody, they go, women do that? I said, I mean, are you serious? Do you think if a man buys a car all by himself and the wife says, that's no good, that's going to work? No.
So from the past until now.
Tremendous progress.
Yes.
But we cannot mistake progress for success.
Could you please elaborate more about this?
I mean, of course, there's been advancement. But in places like Afghanistan or Pakistan or parts of Africa, the girl child isn't allowed to go to school. Or if they are, they stop them after a certain point so that they could help with the family. They're the ones that carry the water. And we're talking millions. Technology is not accessible, you'd be surprised, even in rural areas in the United States, right? So there's still millions of women and girls with no access to technology. So we've made tremendous progress, but there's still lacks along the way that need to be confronted.
But from the past until now, according to you, how is the image of women have changed gradually?
I wish the image of women has changed dramatically, but some have made progress, but others haven't. You know, the fight of the U.S. soccer team, the women's soccer team, to get equal pay? A lot of that had to do with the image of women as not being serious athletes. So that's just one example. Right now, only 5% of CEOs in the U.S. of the Fortune 500, the 500 largest companies in the world, are women. That's not progress when we make 80% of buying decisions, when we are 50% of the labor force, when we are 40% of investors, of shareholders, whether through our pensions, our portfolios, etc. Why should there only be 5% CEOs, right? Why only 22% of board seats to be held by women? Here in Thailand, 40% of business leaders are women. So how come only 18.8% of board seats in your listed companies are held by women? You got the talent? Why is that so small? So, you know, when people talk progress, they're not all looking at the same place. That's how come I always count. I said counting is important. So at this summit in Bangkok, I'm going to be releasing a report on women on the boards of the 200 largest companies in the world. And it'll be surprising. The results are going to be very surprising. It's both tremendous loss and tremendous progress.
Then do you think we should focus more on equity rather than equality? Because as we know that we can't do specific jobs like what men can't.
I think you shoot for both. I don't think you have to differentiate between the two. We haven't both, either one. We're not equal partners yet. So no, do both. But you know, despite all of what I've been saying, I do what I do because I am so proud of what women do, despite all the barriers that you think would be just impossible. They created businesses when nobody took them seriously, when nobody gave them funding, so that now 37% of SMEs, small medium enterprises globally, are held by women that they created themselves without even the support of those who say they love them and support them. They don't. So, you know, women, despite all of that, got themselves educated even when families said, no. You're not going to school. You're not going to college, right? Or your brother will go to college, not you.
You just work at home, supporting the family.
But they did it anyway.
That made their life.
And so now they're the majority of college graduates. The problem is that talent isn't parallel to the job opportunities that is there. You have college graduates women who are doing work that is not up to their skill level. And there was a study in the US that the most important thing is the first promotion to manager. And for women, that takes longer than for men.
Why is that?
Bias. There's a point when you can't explain it other than stereotypes, continuing bias. It took centuries for those biases to develop. It's not going to disappear overnight. Hillary Clinton had all the qualifications, probably the best qualifications of any presidential candidate ever, male or female. It wasn't enough. You should have seen, because I campaigned for her, so I saw this directly. There was a nutcracker that they were selling in the South. And basically it's her body, and the way you crack a nut is you put it between her legs.
Oh.
And they were selling them at airports. So if that had been her male opponent, there would be rioting in the streets. And I saw how in debates, how she was addressed. A moderator would say, Hillary, what do you think of whatever it is? Meanwhile, her opponent at that time, Senator Obama, they would give, Senator Obama, what do you think? Why is it okay to call her by her first name and she outranked Senator Obama by many years and was popularly reelected in one of the toughest states in the U.S., New York, with 60% of the vote. And she was a front runner. Why was that okay? And, you know, until the way she was treated in debates was made fun of in a comedy show we have in the U.S. called Saturday Night Live. It changed after that because people saw how she was treated in the debates. That's why media is important, all kinds.
Well, let's focus on this summit. You choose Thailand to hold this event. Do you see an important factors that Thailand could deliver, or opportunities that Thailand could offer for this summit?
Oh yeah, you have a lot of talented business women here. Look at this building, the convention center. It's part of a real estate company that is headed by a woman. Your largest mall, Icon CM, woman. You know, one of the biggest banks, Kasikorn Bank,
Woman.
You know, the energy company, B Grim Power, CEO is a woman. I mean, you know, you have a lot. People don't know that about Thailand. They think, oh, great vacation place. It's a tourism spot.
Paradise cake.
Yes, but not a dynamic economy with many women in charge.
We do have
I
that.
want to help change that image. We will have Thai women business leaders speaking in every part of the summit. And I want to show them off to change people's perception. And that's sort of part of what I do with every summit, because we have prejudices about countries, cultures, women themselves, just like the men. And so I do it deliberately, change mindset. We will have people here, for instance, from Kazakhstan. Many people, we have almost 60 of them coming. And people go, where's Kazakhstan? And so I like that. So when you are across the table from somebody in a country that you would never visit, it adds a layer to you. And in the end, you know what you realize? We're just women. And it won't even matter what country. The issues are the same. It's just a question of degree and the cultural base around it.
So for this summit, what should participants be focused on?
Well, we're focused on economic recovery. Uppermost because COVID had a negative impact on women globally. And so as workers, as well as small business owners. And so we will have a lot of sessions on how can we be part of that recovery. Both in terms of how do you grow your enterprise using technology, and in terms of workers themselves, what are new opportunities? We're also looking at, new things like crypto
Yes.
and metaverse and NFTs, because I want women to be economically literate. They may have achieved, but many times we're focused just on what we're doing, that we don't look beyond that. And what the summit does is force you to think about other things, other countries, other ideas. And that's what I love to provide. That opportunity, unlike other conferences where you expand. A lot of the women are already going to many conferences in their profession or in their businesses. This one looks beyond that, so that we have a more coherent understanding. Because the more we know, the more able we will be.
Right. But how do you see the women's roles in Thailand society right now, or even in Southeast Asia? As we know that some of the countries in Southeast Asia, women's roles is played differently than other countries. Like, for example, in Thailand, we have more business women. In our neighboring country, we may have less than Thailand, for example.
Well, it's mixed. I mean, even in Thailand, not everybody's a businesswoman, okay? I mean, I do think Thai women are entrepreneurial, whether it's a woman selling crafts in the market or somebody who runs a major real estate development company. It's mixed. In rural areas, there are still women trapped in not 20th century economic reality. But that's true for a lot of Asia. In Singapore, you have a ton of business women, okay? But that's not reality in Sri Lanka or Brunei or, you know, a whole host of other countries. So it's sort of lopsided, you know, women with a lot of opportunities and then others who can't even get there. Places where children are trafficked, girl child who are trafficked because parents think it's a way to make money. And it's just, so you try to, we can't address all of it, so you try to address the part which is how can women have economic lives of growth? And that's what we focus on. There are many, many issues. There are infrastructure differences, for instance, you know, that prevent progress from being made. It's just really hard to make change happen. We are not in charge, okay? If only 5% of CEOs are women, then 95% are men. So we don't create the economic agenda. If only a handful of women are heads of state, presidents or prime ministers, we don't govern. So we are not basically in charge.
Right.
Somebody asked me, why do you have, at this summit, I will have the president of Kosovo, the vice president of Vietnam. So somebody said to me one time, why do you have government people, and I will have lots of ministers, at a business summit? I said, because one minister who passes a law that opens up economic opportunities for women, millions or thousands of women, why wouldn't I?
They play an important role.
Absolutely.
And they're the one who opened the door.
And we want, I want women to appreciate what politicians do.
Right.
And I want business people to appreciate what women who are advocates, who work, you know, in nonprofit groups, because they reach women. So I want women to sort of appreciate each other. No matter what they do, no matter what country they come from, they must be proud of themselves.
As women.
As women, making ground. And also, it's important for women to see a woman president.
Of course.
It's important to, you know, to see those in charge, not just CEOs, but women who run countries. Right?
And not just the country, we also have to take care of our own family.
The care work that is integral to women's work doesn't disappear whether you're an executive
That's right.
or
It's
you're
still
a waitress. It's there. And women value it. You know, I have a CEO forum of women that's part of every summit. And usually I ask, how do you define success? And many times they say, I don't feel successful if my family is not a success.
Right.
In other words, if I fail there, then I'm not successful.
Because it needs to be completed.
Right. We want both. And right now, when I talked about infrastructure, the care infrastructure in the U.S., in my home country, no good. President Biden is trying to put that in place, you know, child care to be funded and also to be given time for that. You have it in all of Europe. It's not even an issue, and lots of laws in Asia. But in the end, that infrastructure, if care work is not addressed, then women cannot be part of any leadership role.
But I believe in many parts of the world as well.
Yep. Yep.
And this is what we are, or we have to work on it still.
Ongoing.
Ongoing. What would be your ideal world for women?
There's no ideal world. I mean, I've been an advocate for women for over 40 years, my entire adult life. I am now 73.
Wow, you look younger than you are.
Well, but I am. And I don't want to hear talk anymore. I want to see what somebody does. You know, that expression
Action.
to walk the talk, that's important. Don't give me any more pablum about how you appreciate women and all that stuff. And you look at the, you know, a government or a corporation and there aren't
Don't
many.
complain.
Yeah.
Do it.
Just, you know, don't give me words. I want solutions.
Right.
No more talk, okay? No more whining about, oh, we don't have this, we don't have that. I know what we don't have. So now let's talk about what we can have.
Or let's make it happen.
Yep, that's what I'm about.
Then last, I would like to ask you about what is the trends of women in the future, or what will be their role that they would play an important role to the society?
Well, they will continue playing the role of family caretaker. I would
Oh,
like
that's-
more men to be part of that. And ideally, care work. You know, during the pandemic, and men were forced to stay home,
Right.
it's the first time they realized
How
care
hard it
work
is.
and housework is real work, and it's hard, and it takes a lot of time. And many men said it.
They can't
It's not
deal
as
with
if,
it.
yeah. You know, there was an article in the New York Times. This Japanese woman said to her husband, and you know, the homes in Japan are
Small.
small. She said, please, I need your help. I need for you. And he goes, I already do a lot. And he made a list of 29 things that he felt he did. She made a list, a spreadsheet of 120, and she pasted it on the refrigerator. Just to show him that there's a lot more that needs to happen. So ideally, I would love for more men to share the care work.
And
some are,
understand.
the younger men are beginning to do that more and more. Secondly, women really need to be tech ready. We need more women to be skilled in technology, to
Right.
be players in it, and to be leaders in it. We don't have enough.
Right.
So that's a world where they can make more money, but there are not enough of them. You know, when I said the majority of college graduates are women, they're not focusing on the skills that you need. They may graduate with a degree
They
in
achieve.
exactly.
They made the achievement,
There
but
are
they didn't understand.
there are jobs that are waiting, but there's a labor pool of women that's not ready for those jobs.
Right.
So ideally, I would like for them to do that, to be skilled, to
Be
start
more
early.
practical.
Yes, yes. Lastly, they must be global. If there's anything that we've been taught during this difficult period, it's that we depend on each other. No country can lock the door and say, you know, no more. No, no. Supply chains, viruses cross borders, climate crosses borders. You can no longer think that you could be encased in one area.
That's right.
We are interdependent.
Right.
I was telling somebody last night, I didn't realize that Ukraine was the breadbasket of the world. I didn't realize that that war, that I thought was a European war, can cause poverty in Africa, poverty, famine in the Middle East, or even in Latin America, that they sold wheat all over the world, and because of the
Brexit.
blockages, they can't ship it out.
Right.
You're right. That's supposed to be a European war, but it will have impact. And because of that same war, gas prices, energy prices, which means inflation.
Yes.
It's like a basic course in economics writ
And
large.
everyone get affected.
And you could see it. Everybody's affected. So it's not like this little war here. Nuh-uh. Its impact is
It's
global.
impact the small households as well, and also
Sure.
impact us as women, because we work on outside and then we have to take care of the family inside as well.
Well, that's ongoing. That'll never change. And frankly, well, no, I'm hoping that that will change, that men will share that kind of work and be equal partners. Women don't want to replace men. We want to be equal players in whatever area of society there is, okay? We want to be equal judges. Equal CEOs, equal whatever. Pay me the same, like the soccer players ask. Pay me the same. I won games. You guys didn't.
Working together in parallel. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, for today, thank you very much, Irene. And of course, welcome to Bangkok. I hope you enjoy your stay here. And we're looking forward for the GSW Summit. ขอบคุณค่ะ สวัสดีค่ะ
Thank you.
Thank you.